And we're on the Bishquake. We're on after a successful, well, actually, for the betting lights, not so successful, but we did well with the show. We got some viewers, we got plenty of comments, some great interactions on our live show on Sunday, Bish. So I'm raring to go. And yeah, it's apparently super wild card weekend, you've told me. We've been trying to figure out what's so super, but the only thing that I can think of is that every single team, every single game, they've already played each other. So it's on, the competition's on, they're not new, they'll know what they're doing against each other. So they'll be, I think they'll all be raring and they'll all have a decent game plan, I think, going into it. But Bish, how are you?
Yeah, good. Like you said, enjoyed the live show. Tag on, chatting some NFL, and yeah, that super wildcard weekend used for TV. I don't know. Seventh seed normally gets a bit of a trouncing this week, so we'll see what happens.
I'm really excited. To be fair, I think, like you said, there's a couple of games where it should be dominating. I think we'd be surprised if not, and then I think a couple others, isn't there, where I think there might be one or two shocks, Bish. Anyway, going against what the bookies are, in my opinion. I've not been right in a while, but I've done my research for this one, Bish, and I'm ready to go. I'm deep. I've been deep into the analytics, so that means anything. We're on. All right, we'll dive into it, Bish. Get straight in. First game of the weekend. I think it could be a tough night for one of these teams, but it's the Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are -9.5 favourites in this one, Bish, and the over-under is 42.5 as of half an hour ago. Where's your head at?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it, to come up with an argument for the Seahawks. I think the bookies there, this is one of the ones where you expect it to go that way. It's just getting the spread right, I think. But the Seahawks make a case for them. They managed to stumble their way into that seventh spot with the Lions going into Lambeau Field and beating the Packers. And Geno Smith's been good for him this year. I think career high for him. I think he's over 4K passing yards, 30 touchdowns. Obviously made the Pro Bowl as well. And Kenneth Walker leads all rookie running backs with 1,050 yards this year. So he has a good year. But, the 49ers, they're going well out there. I think those who watch the live show, they're my tip to win it all, to win the Super Bowl. And, it's funny, isn't it? They've got the third string quarterback coming in, struggled with injuries. Trey Lance went down, Garoppolo went down. Third string quarterback, Mike Purdy comes in, rookie. And he's 5 from 5. He's leading the league in passer rating. He's thrown 11 passing TDs, which is league leading since week 14, since he started. Obviously 5 wins, and his pass per yards attempt as well. He's leading the league, so he's come in and he's definitely not playing like a third string quarterback, is he? So he's firing on all cylinders, and it's going to be hard for the Seahawks, as you said. Sort of, how do they win the game? I think they've got to try and run the ball, which no team has done against the 49ers. 80 rushing yards is the most they've given up to one single player on the ground this year. So that's going to be very tough. And Geno throwing 2 interceptions last week against the Rams as well. So, coming up against that stingy 49ers defense is going to be tough. And for me, yeah, it's only one way. It's the -9 for me, -9.5 for me. Over-unders, I don't think it gets to 42.5, simply because I don't think the Seahawks can score enough points. That in both meetings earlier this season, I think they scored 7 in one and 13 in another. So yeah, I don't think it gets to that 42.5 mark. So it'd be unders on that one for me.
Yeah, Bish, this is one of my best bet games. Like you said, I think I've done so throughout all the games. I've done the defense. I've concentrated on defense. I've got the defensive rankings and also the strength of schedule. It doesn't really apply to this game, but there's some interesting ones where there's a massive difference in strength of schedule. But anyway, concentrating on this game, yeah. The only positive I've got for Seattle on the defensive side is their cornerbacks. Obviously, Mike Jackson, Tariq Woolen being awesome this year, but I I don't think that really matters towards this 49ers. They're going to run it down their throat. Seattle are giving up 150 rushing yards per game. San Fran have got McCaffrey just absolutely playing awesome and also being a great receiving running back. The line shocked me here, Bish. The line for Christian McCaffrey is 37.5 receiving yards. And I think that's crazy. I think the guys, Wool and Jackson, will defend the wide receivers. So I think McCaffrey's going to get a lot of rushing yards along with George Kittle, because Seattle also struggle against the tight end. But I think they're going to concentrate on Kittle. And I think it's just going to open up a world of fun on McCaffrey, for McCaffrey. So, this is my best bet, Bish. Like you said, first game they played, it was 7-27. Second game, 13-21. San Fran have destroyed this all year, and I think it continues as they keep getting stronger. So I've got, same as you, Bish, but it's one of my best bets, the under of 42.5 and Christian McCaffrey over 37.5 receiving yards.
Lovely, yeah. It's a nice mark there. It is interesting for 49ers. They're getting healthy at the right time. They've got Elijah Mitchell back in the backfield as well, and I think Debo's back as well. So they've got plenty of weapons out there, but McCaffrey, like you said, he's like that Swiss Army knife. You can line him up anywhere, just get him the ball in his hands. So, that 37, he could do that in one play. So, yeah,
I was shocked when I loaded that up and it said that. So, yeah, no, all over that. Next game, Bish. This is one I think people have different opinions on, but the LA Chargers versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chargers are -2.5 favourites for this game, and the over-under is 47.5, Bish. Where's your head at?
Yeah, this is a close one, isn't it? I think this is a bit of a coin flip, this one. Just looking at it, I'm looking forward to this game. And for me, I've sort of focused on here that the Chargers are the fourth best in terms of yardage passing wise against the Jags D, which is bottom 5 again. So Chargers don't really run the ball, but they throw a lot, and probably their special weapon out of that is their running back. Austin Eckler gets through a hell of a lot of work catching the ball out the backfield. He's actually fantasy PPR #1 ranked running back. So, PPR is points per reception. So he gets plenty of receptions out there. And I think Herbert's been really good. He's not had his 2 starting wide receivers out there for much of the time this year in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, but he's still racking up the yards. He's still finding people and they're doing jobs. And actually, Mike Williams last week, in a game where nothing was on the line, they could have rested players. They chose to go full strength, and Mike Williams picks up a back injury. He's carted off the field, so he's touch and go. I don't think he's trained yet this week as we record, so that's one to watch. And then the Jags, we've said all season on this on the preview, I just can't read the Jags. They're a great team to watch. I love watching them. They're a fun young team. Etienne on the ground, and T-Law's been great through the air, and Christian Kirk, the big trade, he got his big money and he's delivered on the season in my eyes. 1,108 yards and 8 touchdowns receiving. So I think he's been worth his money. And for this one, I can, they met earlier on in the season, and actually the Jaguars absolutely stomped them 38-10. I think it's going to be a lot closer than that this time. And I'm going to lean with the Chargers. One thing they did on social media was the Chargers pace. They put up all the receipts of everyone doubting them. Everyone saying that they're rubbish, they're gone. And I just like that. I like that. Maybe it's a bit premature and they should have done it after a win, but, I like it. I'm rolling with them. So, yeah, I'm going to go Chargers -2, but on this one, I like the overs. As I said, I think it'll be a closer game than 38-10, possibly, mid-20s, 24-27. Can it get a bit higher than that, possibly? So, yeah, I'm liking the overs on this one.
Yeah, same with you, Bishir. Just to, like you said, reiterate a few things. I think the reason we can't read the Jaguars is that they're so young. So I think that normally means a brilliant performance one week, get things wrong the next week. They're still learning on the job. And with you, Bish, I just don't think it's their year yet. Maybe in a year or 2, 3, I reckon they could even have a Super Bowl in this team, or they could reach the pinnacle. They're brilliant on defense. Again, really young though, so they are mistake prone. I think they make more mistakes than most other teams, but when things go right, they get it right. One thing that scares me on the Chargers side, though, Bish, is the run defense. They're absolutely terrible at it. They're allowing 5.3 per on average. So that means Travis Etienne's probably another huge game. I think it's all down to how good Etienne really is. Well, not really is, but how good he is at this moment. I think he will, like you said, become a brilliant running back. But can he put the Jags on the back? Obviously, they struggled a bit last week. They pulled off the win, but the offense won't go in. Etienne struggled. It's all down to whether Etienne's ready for the big game or not for me. So yeah, I'm probably on the overs. Both don't have the best defense. So yeah, I don't know where to go with this, Bish. I think I'm gonna leave. I can't leave it out, can I? But
make a pick.
Make a pick. I don't know. The Chargers are good. Like I said, they've got Mike Williams injured. The Jaguars on their day can beat anyone. But the one thing I've got, Bish, actually, I'm going to go the Chargers because I mentioned that strength of schedule. The Chargers have the 12th toughest strength of schedule in the league. The Jaguars have had the 23rd. Obviously, for viewers, that I think it's a bit self-explanatory, but strength of schedule, how good your opponents have been throughout the season against everyone else. What have their record and ratings been? Well, the Jaguars have faced the worst, more of the bad teams, and that can explain maybe why they're in the playoffs, why sometimes they look good. They're playing these bad teams. Chargers around the middle, but there's over 10 points of difference there on the strength of schedule, Bish. So I think the Chargers have played more of the tough teams and been there, and they've had this go before, and I reckon it could be a year where they pull off a good win or two, and I think this is it. So yeah, the Chargers.
Both on the Chargers.
Next game, Bish. Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. At this moment, the Bills are minus 13 favourites, Bish, and the over-under is 43.5. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a big minus, isn't it, for the Bills? But I think the big news out of this one is, no Tua. He's definitely not playing, and then I think they're waiting on Teddy Bridgewater. He dislocated his little finger, I think a couple of weeks ago, and he's not quite there throwing the ball. So at the minute, they're down to the third string quarterback, Skylar Thompson, and as we saw last week, wasn't great. They just got past the Jets to cement a playoff place. So against this Bills team, I just don't think they'll be strong enough here. As the line suggests, it's been a funny season for the Dolphins. Obviously, with two of the main man, they've been a bit of a streaky team though. They started the season winning 3, then they lost 3, then they won 5, then they lost 5. So a very streaky team. A lot of a work in progress, but Tyreek Hill has had a great year. No matter who his quarterback's been, 1,710 receiving yards on the year.
Second in the league, isn't it?
Yeah, averaging just over 100 yards per game and 7 touchdowns as well. And in this matchup, the Bills Dolphins, it's actually 1-1 for the season.
Yeah.
Miami won earlier on in the season, and the Bills won most recently. I think about a month ago.
Yeah, scores on that one, Bish, were 21-19 to Miami, and then 32-29 to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, so the Dolphins, they're going to have to massively lean on the run, obviously with Skylar Thompson in there, and that's been dealt with a massive blow with Raheem Mostert, broke his thumb last week, so he's likely not going to play. So that puts all the load on Jeff Wilson, and the Bills. I think you can run on the Bills, but I just think there's not going to be enough there from Skylar Thompson to keep the Bills from loading that box area that Jeff Wilson will be running into. I think the Bills, obviously it's been a big time for the Bills, big emotional time for the Bills in terms of the Damar Hamlin incident. And, they got through last week, and I think the scoreline flattered them a little. They scored 2 kickoff returns. They scored 14 points off, nothing. Well, not nothing plays, but big plays, and sort of take that out of the game. It sort of changes it a little bit. But for me, if they're going to go far in these playoffs, it's Josh Allen. He's going to have to carry the team on his back, and he's going to have a big playoff series as he almost did last year. Just getting beat to the Chiefs. So a little prop that I do like in this one is Josh Allen rushing yards. It's 50.5 set at. And on the season, he's over 700 rushing yards, and he's scored 7 rushing touchdowns as well. So, he does like a run. So I'm looking at that one. On the spread, I think you have to take Bills -13. It is a big number, but if Dolphins' third string quarterback is in there, I can't see much happening for them. And again, for that reason, I'm going to go unders, just because I don't see the Dolphins scoring many points. They scored 11 last week. I think it'll be pretty similar to that, if not less, this week. So, yeah, the unders on that.
Wow, Bish, you've surprised me there. I'm going different to you here. Well, give a bit of support. I've done that strength of schedule. Miami have had the second toughest strength of schedule in the league. So I think that Bills have had the 7th. So I think that shows both teams are fairly legit here, Bish. On the defensive side, the Bills cornerbacks, aren't the best. The rating, that's their weak point in their defense. Tre'Varius White's been good, but with it, he's come back from injury. And he looks a bit. He has a good game, has a bad game, and he's their top man right now. So they struggle there. So I can see a big game for Tyreek and obviously Waddle, but like you said, Skylar Thompson's the worry here, so I can't see them winning, but I can see it being a close game here, Bish. I think Miami have been there. I think throughout the season they've had close games, they've had good games, they've had bad games, but I think the previous scores, I'm going to go off the previous scores in the year and show that they do have a good read on Josh Allen. Miami are great at the blitz. Allen's not amazing at the blitz, not amazing quarterback. Some are really good. Allen's one of the ones that struggles a bit. There's a quarterback later in this thing that struggles even more, but Allen's not the best at it. So I can see Miami taking this one close. So I'm gonna go Miami +13 as long as it stays up there. Not saying they'll win. You know what I mean? You can't go that far, but I think it's going to be a closer game than everyone thinks. I know this doesn't mean anything, but because they rode so high last week, there will be a natural dump there. Might be overreading it, probably am, but I think there'll be a natural dump from this Damar Hamlin. We've done it for Damar. It's tough to keep that going week on week on week, I think. Not that they'll lose, but I don't think they'll look as exceptional and as amazing as they did last week's score. Like you said, 2 of them were kickoff return touchdowns. So so I think a close one. I'm taking Miami +13. Bills will probably win, but Miami +13, Bish.
Yeah, I like it. I agree with you on that Bills front. All that emotional energy used over the last 2 weeks, there naturally is a come down from that. I just don't think. They've got the receivers, Dolphins. I just don't think the quarterback can do it. He didn't manage to get a touchdown last week. It were all field goals. So, but yeah, we'll see. It is a margin.
Yeah, he's obviously it's Skylar Thompson. If he can do it, that'd be brilliant. If he can make it close, like you said. But yeah, that's my worry. That is obviously the obvious worry. So hopefully he can get a couple, make it interesting. Like I said, I think the Bills' cornerbacks struggle against top speed. And obviously that's what Miami have. I think that shows how it's been close in the previous games. But next one, Bish. This is I've been waiting. I've been itching to discuss this game with you because I know you have a fairly strong opinion on one of them. But we've got the New York Giants versus the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are -3 favourites here, Bish. The over/under is a big 48 points. Take us through it. Come on.
Yeah, this is a fun one. This is a good one to watch, I think, for anyone out there. If you can't get to watch all the games, I think this will be a fun one.
Yeah.
And the first thing on my pad is upset alert here. You know, I think it's a neck and neck game. You know, we spoke about it on the show. Well, I've been quite vocal about the Vikings on this show. You know, these two teams played on Christmas Eve, and it was 24-24, and with 4 seconds to go, the Vikings kick a 61-yard field goal to win the game. So we expect it to be a close run thing. And the Giants last week, they decided to rest pretty much all the key starters on offense and defense in preparation for this game. Vikings obviously still played them, but went through the motions a little bit in the second half. And as we know, so an interesting fact here on the spread in these two teams. So against the spread, so the Vikings are -3 favourites here. So at home, the Vikings have won 4 and lost 5 against the spread. The Giants, away from home, have won 10 and lost 2 against the spread. So that means they're just great. Playing away, they're very good at keeping games close. You know, they're very keep games very close. And then as favourites, the Vikings, they've won 6, lost 5, tied 1. And the Giants, as underdogs, have won 10 and lost 2. So that's against the spread. So the numbers are saying it's going to be a close game, and in close games, for the bettors, you know, it doesn't necessarily say they win the games, but they win the spread. So Giants +3 would be the bet. But I just think the Vikings have too many points in them. You know, the start terrible. So the first 3 quarters, the Vikings.
Wow.
The Vikings have, I think it's -80. It's -80 plus points difference. But in the fourth quarter, they have a positive points difference. Basically, they play from behind an awful lot and come back in the fourth quarter to win the game. So it is neck and neck. And the stats would say, you know, to lean the Giants here. But for me personally, I'm going to take the Vikings just because I think their offense is more explosive. I still stand by my statement that I think the next round they will get beat. But I think they're good enough to get through this round. A few props that I like in this one is Daniel Jones rushing yards is at 39.5. He nearly covered this in the last encounter. I think he was 34 or 35 yards. So, you know, for me, for the Giants, they need to run the ball. You know, they keep the clock ticking. Barkley's very good at that, and I think gaps might open up for Daniel Jones on the play action. You know, he's got some good legs, and you know, I think Cup 2 weeks ago, obviously he ran all over his opposition to bring in Tag's touchdown bet. So we know he's got some wheels on him. So I think that's capable. And then for the Vikings, just in terms of, you know, they're very prolific on offense. TJ Hawkinson's line is 49.5 receiving yards. I like that. You know, he went for 109 in this encounter on Christmas Eve. And then Justin Jefferson, I think the best wide receiver in the league at the minute. His prop line is 91 yards, and I think that's a steal. He went for 133 against the Giants last time out, and he's been at over 120 in his last 3 out of 5 games. So, you know, for me, that is a steal for that one. And I'm debating a best bet on that one because I've got a couple that I'm thinking about it. But in terms of player props, I think that's a really good one. Another one is, again, I think it's going to be tight. I'm on the overs, but I'm taking the Vikings -3.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. What do I get? I'm different to you here, Bish. I think it's the New York Giants' day. I think the Vikings are. You've convinced me to go the Giants over these last 2 weeks, and then you've done me here. I thought we would call it the upset of the day, and be all happy and mates, and you've gone against it. So I'm a bit shocked, but no, I've got the Giants. Bish. I think yards in the last game, they outgained the Vikings 445 yards to 353 yards. Vikings D it got better, and then last couple of weeks it's got worse again. They're allowing 4.7 yards per carry. Hello, Saquon Barkley. I think we've just I can't. I can't see it. And I think Cousins terrible against the blitz. Giants are good. I think that Thibodeau's come good in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I've got the Giants here, Bish. All my stats, and obviously all my stats, all my another one. Giants have had the third toughest strength of schedule. The Vikings have had the 18th, Bish. The 18th compared to that. That's a massive. That means the Giants have been there in the trenches all season. They know how to pull off these tough wins here. The Vikings do, but it shows against some of the easier teams they do. They pulled it off against the Giants, but I think that was a bit of luck. The stats didn't suggest that they should have won. They obviously pulled it off. Fair play to him. But yeah, everything that I've said there, I've got to go New York Giants +3. I'm not going money line. I'm going the +3 here. And I think we're going to find out the Minnesota Vikings. Like you said, it might be a high scoring game, but I don't know. I'm just going to go Giants +3. Saquon to run the ball. Giants to stop Cousins when the pressure's on.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, all the stats I think point to that +3. I just think in the last matchup, I think the tight end Bellinger fumbled it close to the goal line, and Daniel Jones had a interception in the end zone as well. So they were pretty much on top for that game. But for me, when it comes down to it, I think this game could be the last team to have the ball scored. Yeah. And if I'm under 2 minutes, do I want Kirk Cousins and his weapons, or do I want Daniel Jones and his weapons? I'm leaning Kirk Cousins. Well, it's a landslide for me. Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson and all his weapons. So, like I said, I expect it to be close, but I think they see it through this round, but then don't go much further.
Watch it with us then. I think we'll be messaging each other over this game then. I think that's the game. That's the one where we'll be at it. Join us. Obviously, tweet us. We'll be. I think most of our tweets and our efforts will be towards this game. It's the juicy one, and it probably, like you said, it's probably going to be one of the highest scoring games. So yeah, what a game we're treated to. I think. Next one, Bish, we've got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals -8.5 favourites here, and the over/under is 40.5. Where are we going?
Yeah, and they played last week, didn't they, as well, these two teams? So obviously the Ravens were on the third string quarterback, Anthony Brown, at the time. I think it's leaning, all reports are saying Lamar is not going to be playing this game. He's had a PCL knee injury. I don't think he's trained in over 30 days. And obviously with he's a free agent at the end of the year, so his contract situation, I can't see him playing unless he's 100% fit here. It just doesn't financially make sense for him in terms of his career. So Tyler Huntley, the backup quarterback, I think he missed last week's game, and I think he's been limited in practice. So hopefully he's back for them. Because I think Anthony Brown, I think it'll be similar to last week. It'll be a one-sided game. I think Bengals were 24-7 up at halftime last week, and I think they just shut up shop. So worrying news for the Bengals on their O-line, which isn't the best. They've just had 2 injuries to it as well. Last week they lost. 2 weeks ago they lost Llewellyn Collins, a right tackle, and then last week they lost Alex Kappa, a guard. So that offensive line, which wasn't the strongest to start with, is now obviously down 2 starters as well. So that just puts more pressure on Joe Burrow to get the ball out, against a decent Ravens pass rush as well. But I just think the Bengals cancel out the Ravens here. The Ravens love to run the ball. The Bengals held them to, I think, Kenyon Drake to 60 yards last week. There was no Dobbins. I think he must have been rested, so he comes back in this week. But for me, yeah, the Bengals, they're looking good. We've talked about them a lot. I like them here -8.5. I'd take that, and the over/under is quite low for this game. If Huntley's back, I think it goes over. So I'm going to lean overs because I think he will play. I'm going to lean overs, but I just think the Bengals have too much. I just think they're a well-rounded team, and as I said, if Burrow can look after the ball, I think they get the job done.
Yeah, same as you. I think the strength of schedule, what I've been mentioning, Bengals had the 17th, Baltimore had the 21st. So both had a fairly even. That might come up later in the playoffs, whichever team does go through here. But I can't look past the Bengals, can you? No Lamar. They struggle on offense anyway when the times are tough. Notoriously over the past couple of years in the playoffs, Ravens have been the one team, aren't they, in the playoffs in the last year or two who disappoint, to be honest. And I can't see it changing without Lamar giving it a go here, like you said. Bengals' worst part on defense is the cornerbacks. One of them got injured 2 weeks ago. I know his name is Ogunese. That's probably a terrible pronunciation, so I've avoided it. But yeah, they've got some injuries on the cornerbacks, but then that matches up with Ravens as wide receivers who haven't been that good all season anyway. So I don't think it's going to be. That's not a be all and end all. Again, might come up later against other teams, but I've got the Bengals here. I think the Ravens defense might show up here, Bish. I could see it being around 40 points. The first game were 19-17 to Ravens, and the second game were 27-16, so over, but none of it was by loads. So I see why they've got it there. But yeah, I think the Bengals, I'm taking the minus 8.5, but I'm staying away from any best bets here, Bish, because I think they might just be comfortable. And I can see Ravens' defense pulling off a couple of things. They've got a good defense, but inconsistent. But yeah, that's it for this game for me. I'm excited, but I can't see anything else but a Bengals just pull it through comfortably.
Nice, yeah.
Final game, Bish. This is one. This one gets me excited as well because they're both struggling. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Cowboys are favourites, -2.5. The over/under 45.5. Take us through it.
Yeah, this is one that I've been back and forth on this one. Like you said, they're both struggling. I think earlier on in the season, you'd be all over the Cowboys here, wouldn't you? But they are struggling. And actually, the Bucs, I think we mentioned it as well. Tom Brady they're actually 8-9 here. Losing season, and they've managed to get a home playoff game. So, that I think the first week we did a preview, week 12, I was talking up the Bucs and saying, they seem to be coming back, hitting form, and then they go and let us down and be disappointing. But so I don't know whether I'm just trying to big up Brady here, but I'm going to lean. I'm leaning the Bucs +2.5. Reason being is, as we've said, the Cowboys are struggling a little bit. Dak, since he's been back from week 7, he's thrown 14 interceptions. He's 15 on the season, which is the most by any quarterback. And I think he's thrown at least one quarterback in the last 7 games. So he's been turning the ball over a lot. And one thing they've also started to do is they started to leak passing yards. I'm discounting sort of last week against the Commanders because that was a pretty much nothing game to them. But they've recently played the Eagles, the Jags, and the Texans, and they've given up at least 100-yard receiver here. Against the Eagles, they actually gave up 2. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith both hit over 100 yards. So, and just with the Bucs, we know the running the ball is not their thing. They've struggled all season, and if they are going to win this game, I believe they're going to have to score around 27 points, 30 points, I think. And if they're going to do that, they're going to need Brady to throw the ball. And what he's done, probably the last must-win game, the Panthers divisional game for the title, they won 30 points to 30 points to 24. They've not scored 30 points in a long time, not even been close to that. But I think they're going to need that sort of game. And that sort of points to win this game. Brady in that game threw 400 yards. His prop line for this one is 273.5. So I'm going to have a little bit on that just because for this game, I'm going with the Bucs +2.5. And I think for them to get that, he has to have a big game here. He's got the wide receivers to do that with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. It's a big task, but I think the GOAT will pull it out the bag in the playoffs. So that's me. And again, the overs quite. I guess I'd have to lean the overs then as well. If I think I think the Bucks will need 27 to 30 points. I think it's going to be close. So I think that'll generally get us over the 45.5 mark. But for me, I'm going to go with the Bucks plus 2.5.
Like it, Bish. This one for people who like the stats, you can pick a stat that benefits each way. Start off strength for schedule. Cowboys have had the third toughest strength for schedule, which shows, they're probably legit here. They've had a few bad games, but that's probably because they've played very good teams. The Buccaneers, this is the biggest one of the week, have had the 22nd strength for schedule, Bish. So that means they faced the worst teams, and by their 8 and 9 schedule, they've struggled.
Yeah.
But it's fourth quarter Brady this year, isn't he? I think in the fourth quarter, Brady has shown that he has got it. He's probably not pushing himself as much and probably saving himself for the playoff. I've seen as you mentioned, the games where it's on the line, he shows up and he normally plays unbelievable. As you said, interception Dak, 15 interceptions on the season. So there's stats going each way. The one thing Cowboys are bad at on defense are actually short, quick passes. It's a random one, but I'll do my research and that one come up. Short, quick passes. That's all Tampa Bay. That's what Tampa Bay are good at. Chris Godwin has been the man for that. Also, so there's things looking each way. The Buccaneers defense is getting worse and worse every week. Started week one as the number one rated defense, and slowly, or maybe not, they were up at top and then slowly just dropped. So there's something either way, Bish, here.
Yeah.
I'm going to back that strength for schedule for the Cowboys and go different to you just for a bit of competition between us both. And I'm going to go the Dallas Cowboys in this one. I think they are legit. I think Dak had a nightmare last year for viewers who maybe are getting into it with us. I think we had a couple on Sunday saying, getting into it. Dak lost basically nearly single-handedly, a bit harsh, lost the game for the Cowboys last year. He got something incredibly wrong in the final few seconds of the game where they could have got in place for a field goal or another touchdown, and he screwed it up. They ended up losing the game. I think it's redemption year for Dak, and I think he's going to pull off a win against Brady, and we could see the end of Tom Brady. Like you said, a legendary game, so I'm going over. I think both defenses, they match up against each other, not the best on offense. Like you said, good Cowboys, good defense, but bad at quick passes. That's what Tampa Bay do. Tampa Bay is struggling, and then great at certain things, but then the rushing of Cowboys is always going to be a strength with the two-horned running backs of Zeke and Pollard. So yeah, I've got the over, and I've got Dallas Cowboys, and I think Dak is going to win his redemption.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah, we've got a couple. Yeah, but we'll start off, Bish. I'm putting you under the pressure. Bish's best bets.
Bish's best bets, and the first one, you might like this, Joe. I've switched it up a little. I've got a double, so I've actually gone on the alternate handicap. So I've got 49ers minus 6.5 paired up with the Bengals minus 6.5. So that's an alternate handicap double for my first bet. My number two, I'm going to stick with an over-under. So it'll be Chargers at the Jaguars over 47.5 total points. And my third one is a player prop, which is Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings over 91 receiving yards.
I like that, Bish, actually. I really like that. Interesting. You've mixed it up there. No, fair play to you. Brilliant. It's the playoffs, isn't it? It's the playoffs.
It's the super wild card round, so I've thrown in a super double there.
Brilliant. We'll save Tag's touchdown treble, but I'll go show me the money. Let's make some money. I've got Christian McCaffrey over 37.5 rushing yards, doubled up in that game with the handicap of minus 9.5. I think I'm all over that. It just matches up. They match up fantastically against Seattle. I think we've got that all day. My next one, Bish, I've been debating. My middle one, I've been debating over, but I'm going to go the one I'm confident about, Miami plus 13 on the handicap, just to make it spicy against you. You're confident in the bill. I'm the go. Come on, Miami plus 13. Come on, Skylar Thompson, get a touchdown, get a touchdown or two, and let's go for it. And then to finish off, Bish, I've got a bit of a fun one. I've got a treble, and I'm actually already on this myself. I've got 49ers with the handicap. I've got the Dallas Cowboys with the handicap. And I've got the Cincinnati Bengals with the handicap. So I'll go over that again. Bengals handicap -8.5. Cowboys -2.5. And then I've got San Fran -9.5 for a little treble to make Super Wildcard interesting as possible for you all watching along. We've got one last one. Tagged touchdown treble. He struggled last week. He got 1 out of 3, but he deserves all the credit in the world. He nailed two. Let's get him a third on Wildcard weekend.
That's it. We're massively in profit, and he's come through hot off the press with his Super Wildcard treble. So it's Dawson Knox, tight end of the Buffalo Bills, Josh Palmer, wide receiver of the Los Angeles Chargers, and Daniel Jones, quarterback of the New York Giants. And on various bookies, they're placed at different odds at the minute, but I have got, just before we started, 24-1.
About to say, yeah, that's crazy. I like it. I like it. Very good price. Interesting. I wonder what he's thinking with Josh Palmer. Where you go? Maybe Mike Evans. Is that what he's thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking Mike Williams. Yeah, possibly not playing. So Josh Palmer comes in there probably as the number 2 wide receiver, and in a game where we potentially see quite a few points.
Like it. Brilliant. And then, get on it. That will make you some money if that comes off. Brilliant. 24-1. I imagine. Yeah, that's brilliant. We've got one last major thing to announce. I was going to do it. We were going to do it on Twitter, but we're going to do it on the show live. Our competition winner, he tweets us most weeks. He gets involved with us. All the credit to your part. Gordon Vale, competition winner. Big Gordon. Yeah. Give us a message on Twitter. 2 tickets to any game this season. Just tell us early enough so we can organise it. But yeah, 2 tickets to any Super League game this season for you, Gordon. Thank you for watching and being a very loyal watcher. You've been with us pretty much from the start. Brilliant, Bish. Well, again, last thing, sorry, like, share, and subscribe. We did pretty well on Sunday. Let's take that love. We've done this is one of my favourite shows we've done, Bish. We've both had energy. We've both been there. Let's rock it. Let's share it about, and let's make the show grow. Bish, I always leave you. Final thoughts.
Yeah, that's it. Let's keep growing. Like, share, subscribe. It's the business end of the year, so let's hope we can deliver our side of the bargain.
Brilliant. All right. Been a pleasure, Bish. I'll see you next week, or I'll see you on Twitter once Miami pull off a potential plus 13 thing.
And the Vikings and Bucks pull through.
Right, Bish. Been a pleasure. I'll see you soon.
See you later.